Hello everyone, this is Tyler here. It is August 29th. Quickly, I want to tell everyone why they should first date before deciding whether or not they're a MGTOW. In my previous videos, I've discussed kind of what the MGTOW philosophy is about, this lifestyle and what it entails and what goes into being a true MGTOW person, and also the levels of variation amongst people in this community. There's all kinds of variations, and that's why it's important to understand from person to person. Their definition can greatly vary of what MGTOW is and what it means to them. For younger guys though, I think it's really important that you first at least have one relationship, decent relationship, we'll say here. And when I say decent, I mean one actual girlfriend that you've had, to determine whether or not you're really MGTOW. And I would also implore you for this first relationship to have occurred after the age of 17 or 18, because I think at this point, I think your brain's more developed and you'll actually know if this is the lifestyle for you. See, a lot of guys out there, most guys actually, the MGTOW community that's Generation X, most of these men experienced relationships when they were younger, and some of them actually were married once, twice, or even 3 times. This is very common. I used to work with a fellow at my old company, UPS, and he was actually married 3 times before finally identifying with the MGTOW ways. It's important to ask yourself which category you fall into if this is actually for you. As I've stated before, MGTOW is a lifestyle, and this is going to influence many facets of your life. It's going to probably determine if you have a wife, if you have kids, how family and friends will perceive you. There's many aspects of your life that it will probably intertwine with, so you really need to know for certain if this is for you. And especially for the younger guys out there, perhaps have never had a relationship and just decide to go this MGTOW way. It may not be what you anticipated to be 20 years down the road. You may have a lot of regrets. It's very different being like a 40 or say 50-year-old man who's been married twice, who's gone through a lot of the ups and downs of relationships, and then who finally decides they're MGTOW. This guy is probably a lot more certain in their convictions than, say, a 20-year-old guy who actually hasn't even had an official relationship. And yes, many guys that are 20 now have never had one relationship. This is very common in today's world. I myself actually hadn't had an official relationship before the age of 20. So this is not like uncommon. I'm 28 now, of course, but it's something to be aware of. And you should probably go through a relationship, or maybe even 2 of them, and to decide whether or not this is for you, because you may be surprised down the road and find out you weren't really in this category. This is a lifestyle, as we've spoken about before, and lifestyles often have many components. Often, to know if you identify with one lifestyle, you'll have to have experienced a different lifestyle or multiple lifestyles to understand what each one is about. This is probably really important. Understand too, as a younger guy, that the younger years are going to be more optimal, honestly, for finding higher quality relationships. Like in your 20s, you're going to probably have the best opportunities come your way, or opportunities you build on. So you're going to probably want to know for certain at this age whether or not you're actually MGTOW. It's different for a guy who's like 50, who's actually lived through these younger years, who's maybe had many relationships before. It's a whole different ballgame for that person. This actually is interesting now, because many guys who are 50 now didn't even know what this concept was of MGTOW. When they were like, say, 20, the world was quite different at that point. So much has happened since that point. There was no such thing as online dating, and other forms of technology had not yet came about. You definitely want to know if this is the right way for you. Understand also that there's good and bads of all lifestyles. You, as a younger guy, you may see MGTOW as this glorious way to go, but understand that MGTOW light also is going to have like downsides to it, and that's why I say you're going to want to know what the negatives of both the MGTOW and the relationship lifestyle is about, because you may realize that the negatives outweigh the positives of this lifestyle. And unfortunately, with how life works, you can't really go back in time and be younger again. You can't like recreate this time. So this is one aspect that you're going to really have to know about yourself. You can always go back into your 30s and 40s and perhaps restart a different career, but it's not like you can just go back, rewind in time and be younger again. You only get to be young once. That's why you got to be certain in your convictions at this point in time. Also understand that a lot of the MGTOW guys out there today, it probably came about more through they were already living this lifestyle, or it just kind of came into place. It wasn't like intentional. They weren't like actively pursuing to be MGTOW. And that's what unfortunately younger people sometimes pursue a lifestyle because it has like a certain brand to it. It has a certain persona, not realizing that it may not actually be compatible for their lifestyle. And you may be sorely disappointed when you get older and you understand that this perhaps wasn't for you. Feel no shame if you start this MGTOW lifestyle and you realize that it's not for you. Say you're a 20-year-old guy, you turn 25, and the next day you realize you don't want to be that way anymore. You don't want to approach life in the same manner, same pattern. It's fine. You still have your plenty of good years ahead of you, and you can make that rapid change and exit this lifestyle. That's a cool thing about MGTOW. It's not one of these types of lifestyles where you're permanently obliged to be that way forever, or it taints your name forever. It's not like that. There's other lifestyles out there where it definitely has that connotation, but it's not like that with MGTOW. You can wake up, and that's why also, especially for younger guys, you don't need to be real public about this lifestyle. Just, you're better off often just keeping it to yourself. Over time, if you have a family member or someone that you really trust, you can talk about it with them. But with like friends or acquaintances for certain, you don't need to bring this stuff up. You don't really have to delve into it. If it's someone you know and you trust and that genuinely seems interested, then yeah, you can kind of explain your rationale, but otherwise it's not always necessary for people to know. And that's just a simple tip for everyone. And as I said, give a relationship, give 2 relationships, or even 3 a shot. And at that point, it's probably much likely that you'll know if you're actually a real MGTOW guy. Give me your feedback below, and thank you.